I built a hardware supply company from nothing over 38 years, and my own son had me locked away in a nursing home the same week his business went bankrupt. Dad just isn't safe living alone anymore, Bradley told the intake nurse, not once looking back at me. I sat in that vinyl chair and felt the whole room tilt sideways. What Bradley didn't know was that his business partner had already started asking questions nobody wanted answered. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Drop your city in the comments. Hit subscribe if you're new. And remember, this story blends dramatized elements for entertainment, though the message underneath is very real. My name is Harold Ziegler. I'm 74 years old, and if that one phone call hadn't come through, I would have lost my house, my company, and the last $400,000 of my retirement without ever knowing my own son had taken it. Let's begin. My wife Doris died 3 years ago after 39 years of marriage, and since then my son Bradley had become my whole world, calling most Sundays, checking in when he could, taking me to lunch at the same diner on 5th Street every other month. What I didn't know was that his construction supply business, Ziegler Hail Contracting, was quietly drowning under $900,000 of debt he'd never once mentioned to me, debt that had been building for nearly 2 years, while he kept smiling through our Sunday calls like nothing was wrong. In April, Bradley showed up with 2 men in scrubs and a document he called a voluntary evaluation, and within 6 hours I was checked into Brookhaven Senior Living, 40 minutes from my own house, with a durable power of attorney he'd had me sign months earlier for just in case. A form I barely remembered because my eyes had been bothering me that week, and I trusted him to read it to me straight. 3 weeks in, I confronted him during a visit, asking why my bank statements had stopped arriving at the facility. "You would have wanted this, Dad," he said, not even flinching. "I needed working capital, and you weren't using it. I'll pay it back once the company turns around." He'd already wired $260,000 out of my retirement account and taken a second mortgage against my house using that same power of attorney, all while I was 3 signatures deep into paperwork I never should have signed alone. The one person who kept visiting me at Brookhaven was Ruth Alvarez, a physical therapist there who'd known Doris years earlier through church. She was the one who noticed I wasn't confused at all, just isolated, and she was the one who believed me when I said something was wrong. Then came the call that changed everything. Sam Delgado, Bradley's own business partner, phoned the front desk at Brookhaven asking for me directly, saying he'd found inconsistencies in the books that traced straight back to my accounts, transfers Bradley had logged as loans, with no paperwork behind them at all. Sam told me Bradley had done something similar 2 years earlier with a smaller investor named Phyllis and Kimderim, quietly borrowing against her name before the business nearly folded the first time, a pattern he'd only just pieced together. Are you still watching? If your blood is boiling right now, comment below and hit subscribe, because the reversal is coming. And again, a reminder this story is dramatized for entertainment. Those situations like it happen more than people realize. Ruth helped me contact an elder law attorney, and with Sam's financial records and Ruth's written observations of my mental competency, we filed an emergency petition to revoke the power of attorney and requested a forensic accountant review Bradley's transfers. Sam agreed to hand over the falsified loan documents to police, and 2 weeks later, with a detective from the Financial Crimes Unit present, Bradley was called into a meeting at his own office believing he was closing a new investment deal. Instead, he found me sitting across the table with Sam, Ruth, and Detective Marcus Webb waiting. Bradley was arrested that afternoon on charges of financial exploitation of an elderly adult, forgery, and wire fraud, once the paperwork trail confirmed the power of attorney had been used well beyond anything I'd agreed to. The trial ran 3 days. Phyllis and Kimderim testified about her own losses years earlier, and when I gave my statement, I told the judge the money never mattered to me half as much as being locked away and dismissed by my own son. Bradley was sentenced to 6 years, with restitution ordered on the $400,000 total taken from my accounts. It's been 5 months now. I moved back home, and Ruth visits most weekends, bringing her grandkids along sometimes, her own family slowly becoming mine in a way I never expected at 74. I used part of the restitution to help Phyllis cover what she'd lost all those years ago, and the rest went toward paying off the second mortgage Bradley took out without my knowledge. My relationship with Bradley is still nothing. No calls, no visits, and maybe someday that changes. Maybe it doesn't, but I've stopped waiting by the phone for it. What I've learned is that age doesn't make you helpless, but it does make people think they can decide that for you, and it's up to the rest of us to prove them wrong. If this story meant something to you, tell me your city below. Subscribe if you haven't, and share your own story in the comments.